2 weeks into 2020, I figured I would give you guys the 5 biggest lessons I learned in 2019. Hey, what's up guys? Pablo here with the very first video on this channel. I've been meaning to start a channel like this for the longest time ever. Honestly, probably the longest, way too long for that matter. I'm not gonna make a big intro just because I don't want to distract from the actual topic of the video. I just want to jump right into doing what I want to do with this channel, which is to create videos kind of like today's, where I'm gonna be able to just share stuff that I come across, like lessons I've learned from the past, that I'm learning today, just to kind of not be selfish and not keep these things that I've learned and these concepts and these tough moments in life just to myself, but also maybe help any of you guys going through it currently, or that might go through it later, because it's life and that's just what's bound to happen. And that's really all the intro I'm gonna be giving you guys, so let's just jump right into today's video. Today it's January 15, January 15, 2020. The 2020 year just started, and as I was thinking, what do I want to do for a first video? Because I want to do something impactful. I want to do something that would really stand out from, the rest of the videos. I would really shape up what I was gonna do with the channel. That combined with the fact that, like I already said, that it's just 2 weeks into 2020, I figured I would give you guys the 5 biggest lessons I learned in 2019. And of course, this is not something that maybe you and I kind of believe in, like, oh, looking back, you shouldn't look back and whatnot. But reality is, sometimes we have to look back, right? We have to look back and reflect on, what we actually went through, the trials, the tribulations, and like in my case right now, share it with others. So if you guys go through these kind of situations in 2020, at least you know, one, that you're not alone, and two, that if somebody like me got through it, then maybe you can get through it as well. Or if somebody like me learned the lesson, then maybe you can learn it as well. And with that said, number one biggest lesson that I learned on 2019, and these are not necessarily in order. I feel like they all, the way I wrote them down, the way I kind of put them together, they all influenced me in kind of like an equivalent way. But number one, do not rush love. Man, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. Not a lot of us want to have a conversation around, primarily because at first, when we're caught up on those initial feelings, that honeymoon stage, that really intense and passionate, season with the person that we come across, it's just really difficult to listen to outside perspectives. And it's actually really true, right? We just get so caught up. Scientific research has shown that if you get heartbroken, it's actually the same kind of pain that you feel. Well, not only physical pain, like you feel a heartbreak as physical pain, but also as like when you're rehabbing from drugs. But that high, or that lovey-dovey experience, can actually blind us from red flags and or concerns that we might have with the other person. And just because they seem right at the moment doesn't seem they're right to be at least romantically with us. When you rush it, you don't get the time to, well, first of all, you sacrifice a friendship, because most likely if it's rushed, it's not gonna work out. So at the end of the day, you're just sacrificing what could have been a really, really good friendship with the other person. But then also tied up with that is the fact that after learning that I shouldn't rush love in 2019, I figured, I looked around, couples around me that have been together for a long time, and the common thing was always a strong base around friendship at first. It helps build a foundation. You know the person already, and you just feel comfortable with them, and you trust them. I think trust and comfort and reliability is, 3 bigger things that go into love. It's not just love itself, because I think we've all heard it, I think, at the stage of our lives that we might be in, or if you haven't heard it, love is never enough. And to wrap that first lesson up, I'm just gonna say that rushing love can most likely lead to emotional or mental damage, just because of heartbreak and expectations and all these other things. Which leads us into our second lesson, which is do not rush your healing, whether it's physical or mental / emotional. The best way I can put this is, when you get hurt, when you get a cut, when you break an elbow, when you tear an ACL or something like that, like something really, really bad, and it hurts a lot physically, right? It's a physical pain, it's a physical injury. The first thing somebody tells you, the doctor tells you, the nurse tells you, the trainer, whatever it is, go home, rest it, and let it heal. You don't have a saying on how long that healing is going to take, but we do have a saying on whether or not it's going to take longer or shorter amount of time to heal. So we cannot time it ourselves, yet what we can do is we cannot force the wound or just play with it, or we can take or not take action to help it heal faster. It's the same thing when you're talking about emotional or mental damage. It's gotta take time. And you don't have a saying on it. The mistake I made last year was thinking that I could set up a time for myself. I said, you know what, I'm gonna shut down completely for 2 weeks and just chill, just kind of heal. I thought I was healing, and I was, but I was doing it at my own pace, and that's not how this works. And maybe this is not the thing you want to hear right now, because maybe as you're watching this video, you come across this video, you're attracted to this video, to your life, to you know, maybe get you through it. And I can tell you, it's gonna take longer than you think. And just let time do its thing. I know it's cliche, and I know you see it all over the place, but time does heal. But anyways, lesson number 2, do not rush your healing, physical, mental / emotional. Lesson number 3 is gonna be family is not always right. Many of us grow up with an adult figure of some sort, and we always rely on them to have the right answers because they have the experience, they have lived enough years, they have lived enough life, to actually go and you know, give you advice and tell you what to do or you shouldn't do. And let's be honest, times change. The ideas that my parents grew up in, that my grandparents and my uncles grew up with, they're not the same today. The times change, times evolve. We grew up as society, we changed a lot, technology came in. Now the part of this whole thing where the lesson was at was my family was kind of on me. They're really restrictive and strict and conservative in a way, and they were trying to implement that on me where I'm not really that person, or I am not like that as much. Now, unfortunately, their influence, because I know or I grew up thinking that they were always right, I believed that they were they were right about who I was, about being that person that they have an image of in their heads. And I let that influence me into making really, really stupid decisions in 2019. Let me take that back. Not stupid decisions that didn't make me happy. It's family, so their happiness means as much as it does. Their happiness means just as much as my happiness. But there's times where you really gotta be selfish, especially when you're thinking future-wise. It's your life that you're gonna be living that life, not them. Again, they have an idea of who they want you to be, but you know, at the bottom of your soul, at the bottom of your core, at the bottom of whatever it is that you believe in, who you are. Don't get me wrong, I love my family, I would kill and die for them, but they didn't have that right answer for me in 2019. And ultimately what I figured, and I learned this from listening to a Gary Vee podcast, was that nobody knows what they're doing. Like really, nobody, when you really think about it, nobody knows what the is going on. Like we're all, even if somebody's 80 years old, they're still trying to figure life out. And I'll be 100% honest with you, I even feel kind of weird talking about it, because I'm not trying to bash my family at all. It's just, that's who they are. I cannot change them, and then it's who I am. Maybe they could change me, and they did, but I found unhappiness because of that. But anyways, lesson number 3 then, family isn't always right. Parentheses, but you can still love them, or something like that, or you still love them. Moving on to lesson number 4. This one's a really, really key one, because it just kind of hit me like a week ago when I was already in 2020. And it's, if you think of yourself as a victim, you will be a victim. To make it as simple as possible, whenever something bad happened, whenever something uncomfortable happened, I would always kind of just curl into a ball and think of myself as, oh, the world doesn't like me, the universe doesn't like me, and I'm always the victim, I'm always losing, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that, or always slow and always, you know, down and sad or whatever. But it hit that it was actually just a mentality. It was a mentality, but I believed in that mentality, and because I believed in it, I felt like that mentality was real. And therefore, because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, which says whatever you feel is what you attract, I attracted being a victim. I was, you know, those bad situations or those uncomfortable situations really weren't that big of a deal if I had just switched the lens and being grateful, being positive, and really looking at it from a perspective of, I didn't have this last year, or there's people out there with worse problems than I do. But I didn't do that. And instead, I actually attracted stuff that ended up hurting me, that ended up putting me in a really like slow stage of my life. I wasn't working out, I wasn't doing videos, I was just really stalled. I was doing nothing, I was stuck. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that if I had, you know, first overreacted or being childish and the way I acted about insignificant stuff, that wouldn't have led to going through the trials and tribulations, the pain, whatever, that I went through later, and then that wouldn't have taught me the lesson. So ultimately, even though I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, if it hadn't happened that way, I wouldn't be the person with the thoughts and the mentality that I have today. And like I was telling you, this just hit the other day when I was driving back from school, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know, something happened in school, and I was just like, I was still in a good mood though, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, and out of nowhere this thought popped in my head saying, the old me would have cried about this. Now I realize I kind of said this as a joke. It was just like a random thought that popped in my head. But when it popped, when I listened to myself, when I listened to that thought, I kind of sat there with it, and I'm like, the old me. You know, that specific part stood out, because then that's when I realized that I'm no longer playing that victim role. That I wake up, I learn to, you know, say my thank yous, be grateful for literally just being awake. And I guess the funniest thing about that experience too is the fact that when I was going through the actual pain, not the insignificant stuff, but what that insignificant stuff led to, I would always, you know, I'm a Catholic, so I would look up to God and like why? You know, the why me. I feel like we do that a lot too. Not only in situations like that, just overall. Like why me? Why does this always happen to me? I believe that's when it finally, like when I said that in my car, when I said that was the old me or the old me would have cried about this, that's the why. Because I'm no longer that old me. So again, just be really, really careful with how you look at things. Not everything requires your energy, and not everything requires you to be negative about it. I'm not saying don't get sad or it's wrong to get sad. If a situation shouldn't be controlling more than a certain percentage, a certain amount of your brain energy, of your time in your mind or whatever, then it shouldn't. So that was lesson number 4. If you think of yourself as the victim, you will be the victim, or you will be a victim for that matter. But anyways, lesson number 5 of 2019, biggest lesson of 2019, be patient. Patience and not rushing it, realizing we have time. You have time to find love. You have time to heal. You have time to break away from your family history, from their family conservative ways, or whatever it is. And you don't have to, of course. This is just something I learned that may apply to some of you, may not apply to some of you as well. You have time to become grateful and not play the victim, and stand up and be a productive person, positive person that can do the most and find their purpose. You have time to figure out, but also understand that none of us really have it figured out. So anyways, that was it for today's video. 5 biggest lessons that I learned in 2019. Don't rush love. Don't rush healing. Physical, mental / emotional. Family isn't always right. If you think of yourself as a victim, you will be a victim. And number 5, be patient. I really hope you guys liked the video, very first video on the channel. I might upload this as a podcast. I don't know yet. I'm still kind of hesitant on the podcast side of things. I'm way better at video, as you can tell. But I just hope I was able to help you guys. If you guys are going through it, or if you happen to go through it, I hope you go back to this video and kind of, like I said earlier, you're not alone. And if I made it through, you can make it through. If you like the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to this new channel that we're going to be uploading more content like this, more personal, more spiritual, more down to the earth stuff, no flashy stuff like I have on my other channel where I do technology and sneaker unboxings and stuff like that. Yeah, once again, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are amazing. Pablo